Like when people under the height of 6 foot start talking, just turn your brain off. There's never a good thing that they say. Like the manlet was comical.
That was Clavicular, the unofficial king of looks maxing and 19-year-old TikTok star with over 600,000 followers, sharing his true feelings about short men on a live stream earlier this year. Some people brush this off as trolling, but I think it reveals what he really thinks. In this video, I'll uncover the double standard that Clav and his community benefits from, the illusion of self-improvement that he sells to desperate young men, and why idolizing people like him is blue pill cope at its worst. And there's something even darker. I've found signs that creators who criticize Clavicular are being silently suppressed, region locked, ghosted, shadow banned, while his own content thrives despite him promoting dangerous substances and hard maxing to a mostly teenage audience. To be honest with you guys, I almost didn't make this video because of how weird this situation has gotten for me and the eerie consequences faced by the others who criticize him. But could Clavicular be more than just a TikTok star? What if he were an industry plant or a psyop sent to infiltrate and delegitimize male spaces and communities while profiting off our insecurities? Keep watching, because what I'm about to share with you could change the way you see Clavicular, TikTok, and the entire looks maxing community forever. Clavicular is a looks maxing influencer who rose to fame during his mid-teens thanks to his unhinged posts and chronically online participation on the website looksmax.org, where he documented his so-called ascension from sub-5 to Chad status. Over the last few years, he's amassed a large following posting slop like this.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Which got 4.6 million views. Having grown up in a wealthy household and achieving fame, fortune, and attractiveness before the legal drinking age, Clav has never known struggle, living a life of privilege from the start. He capitalizes on his young, large, impressionable audience by promoting potentially dangerous looks maxing methods and products to teenagers whose brains still have 10 years of development left. He tries to take credit for his ascension, claiming that he holds the secret that'll help you go from sub-5 to Chad, pushing the idea that his own efforts led to the changes we see in his face between the age of 14 and 19. He seems to benefit from downplaying the role that genetics and natural facial development play in his ascension, which allows him to more effectively monetize his audience of desperate young men. Clavicular has built a cult around his image, a cult of Chad-worshipping stans who see him as the king of looks maxing, hang on his every word, and defend him without shame, to the point where it's cringe and embarrassing. You'll probably see a few of them in my comments here. I have reason to believe that this toxic horde of blind defenders may have played a role in the consequences faced by his critics, including myself, which I'll discuss more later in this video. Regardless, we should all pity them. They're being manipulated and deceived, and the path they're on will only lead to tragedy and disappointment. And that brings us to the first main point of this video, the dangerous levels of false hope that Clavicular promotes to impressionable young men. As I touched on earlier, there's a radical contrast between the life that Clavicular has lived and the life of his average follower. If you've seen many of my previous videos, I frequently discuss the immense privilege that comes with having tall genes and growing up in a well-off family. Given the fact that Clav was already blessed with good height, facial genetics, and a family that could afford to provide a healthy natural diet for him and his sister, he's already at a significant advantage over his average follower. He started out life with a better foundation than most of the people who look to him for guidance. And if you still think genetics only played a small role, he even says it himself how naturally beautiful his sister is. Did she ever inject fat-dissolving chemicals into her face or try to lose weight by snorting Colombian marching powder? No. The reality is, Clav never even needed all the chemicals and steroids. I would wager he wouldn't look much different without them. As you can see here, when Clav says things like what he said about short men, Many of his followers internalize it and see it as their king showing them how they should treat lesser beings. The ironic part is, there are many people who report that Clav's claim of being 6'2" really only applies when he's wearing lifts, which he has admitted to wearing, and without them, he's barely 6 feet, just hovering around the threshold of not being worth listening to. While most of us would see 6 feet as tall, it's not enough for him, and he's publicly stated his desire to get height surgery to boost himself to 6'6". It's clear to me that he has a fear of being viewed as average, which I completely understand. But his fear comes from a place of insecurity, which he displays clearly in his reaction to being approached by a 6'7" woman.
I'm 6'2". How tall are you?
I'm 6'7".
Holy shit. I don't think I can handle all that. You know, like that.
Height doesn't matter.
Height doesn't matter?
Height doesn't matter.
I couldn't even reach your pussy. What are we talking about? I gotta get on a ladder and like this. Like, holy shit.
It's understandable if you're not attracted to taller women like I am, but when a man makes fun of and mocks a taller woman for her height, it should be obvious that it's done as a way to devalue her and build himself up at her expense, by making her feel like a freak so he can feel more normal. Clavicular comes from a privileged past and a privileged present, enjoying the fruits of a community that he built off the back of good luck and good looks. Compare that to the life of his average audience member, a young man of similar age range who's unhappy with his looks, who maybe sees himself as an excess male or sub-5, someone who's struggling socially, rejected by girls, growing up in a family that struggled financially and couldn't afford to provide the best nutrition growing up. Maybe they don't have the good genetic foundation that Clav did and don't even realize it yet. And even if they do, they still hold on to this false hope that they can ascend to his level if they just do everything he says. They have little hope for a future beyond working some dead-end job, going into debt for some useless college degree, and never having the fame or riches that their idol Clavicular enjoys, especially at such a young age. Clavicular is so completely detached and out of touch with the struggles of the average guy his age, it's no wonder he goes around saying the things he does. It's like a bunch of broke inner-city teenagers looking to escape the hood, taking advice from Barron Trump on how to climb the social ladder. The level of absurdity is eye-watering. Why would you want to watch someone who rubs their perfect life in your face? What shocks me is how many of his followers know deep down, subconsciously, that they don't have the advantages he did, yet they still hold on to this delusion that their king will guide them through their ascension, conveniently ignoring the role that genetics and the natural course of puberty played. And think about how many men in the community surrounding the pill that is dark just happen to be short guys. From what I've seen, because short men are often discarded and rejected by women in soy society, they make up a disproportionate percentage of the lookism and looksmaxer community. So as you can imagine, by saying what he said about short guys...
What does a man do below 5'3"? Ladar?
What do they do, Violet?
Join the circus? Getting brutalized every day?
I didn't even enjoy life when I was 6 foot.
Do you think they should join the circus, or what?
You'll find somebody.
Yeah, just have a good personality and be 5'3".
It's highly likely that he just alienated a large portion of his audience. But based on the comments I received from his stans, who probably mass-reported my TikTok, even short guys are coming up with cope excuses, finding some way to justify his behavior or brush it off. What I don't understand is how anyone society would view as a manlet could continue to idolize a 19-year-old Chad and privileged tall rich kid who probably would have bullied you in high school. Let's just hope he doesn't start providing affiliate links for some sketchy limb-lengthening surgery clinic. Now, this is the part where I drop the cold, hard truth for any short or sub-5 males out there still clinging to Clavicular's word like gospel, even after all the overt heightism and lookism he pushes. The brutal reality is, unless you have all the same foundational advantages he does, believing his advice will help you ascend to his level is just pure blue-pilled cope. Looks-maxing methods will only take you so far, and some can do permanent damage. There's nothing more blue-pilled to me than looking at someone who was born with a silver spoon in their mouth, with every privilege you've never had, and somehow believing that they earned their success, that they're an inspiration, and that you feel happy for them. Maybe if you lick the boot a little harder, some of his greatness will absorb through your tongue. I just don't see the appeal in idolizing a tall, rich steroid maxer who builds wealth and fame by selling you false hope, profiting off your insecurities, and promoting methods and substances that could permanently ruin your body and your life. There is nothing more blue-pilled than falling right into the trap of helping the rich get richer at your expense. If you're interested in a deeper dive into the topic of monetizing victim blaming, I made a video called The Cult of Positivity. I'll link it in the description below. This whole mess of grifting and audience exploitation is steeped in hypocrisy, and it's about time I shine a light on it. Clavicular is a guy who, to 99% of onlookers, has it all. Attractive face, above average height, frame, money, and well-off upbringing. But that's not enough for him. He needs more, and he needs to drag others down in the process to keep himself above the waterline. And his hypocrisy comes in several forms. First off, he claims to face frequent rejection from women, but it's clear that he's swimming in a pool of validation and attention. He lives a life of pleasure, luxury, and self-affirmation.
Easy. Oh, buddy.
Constantly surrounded by beautiful women, on and off stream.
You need that stuff if you want to do this consistently, but I don't, bro. I want to get off the packet. I am. We've been off for 12 hours, bro. The worst day of my life, bro.
Living the influencer dream that most Zoomers only dream of and never achieve. I get that he's autistic and that makes social situations harder, but if you're truly based, you already know that it's your height and looks that matter more than anything. He tries to complain about the 1 out of 10 women who reject him so that he can relate more to his audience. But do you have any idea how many posts I've seen from guys on the autism subreddit saying how they feel bad that they can't make friends, yet they somehow always manage to have a girlfriend? I'll tell you why. It's because they're tall. And having a good face card doesn't hurt either. Most women will put up with autism from a guy they find hot. That's the brutal truth. But I can't mention hypocrisy without also talking about the nature of Clav's statement in the original clip.
Like when people under the height of 6 foot start talking, just turn your brain off. There's never a good thing that they say. Like the manlet was comical.
Now, obviously, to the manlets out there listening to that, the first thing that comes to our minds is how comfortable people are making such statements. How heightism seems like it's the last acceptable prejudice, and he would never have gotten away with saying such a thing about someone's race. And that typically would be true, which is why it was my main point. However, according to many commenters, Clav has allegedly made many racist statements as well. And his stans cheer him on for it, just like they cheer on the shaming of men under 6 foot. Which makes me wonder, are all his followers white males? Or are there people of color in their midst that just turn a blind eye to it, just like the short guys do, saying it's just a joke? I hate to break it to you, but I don't think it's a joke. I think he wants you to think it's a joke so that he can have plausible deniability. But that's how he really feels. And a lot of people take it seriously and shape their worldviews based on what he says. But to those who claim that he said the N-word, I've never heard him use the hard R personally. Let me know in the comments if you have. Also, sorry my eyes are red, it's really cold. Now, a lot of the blue pill copers on the other side of things try to convince themselves that Clav doesn't have it all that good. That we should actually feel sorry for him. For the most part, I laugh at this. Why should I, as a 29-year-old burnout who slaved away my entire 20s only to get nowhere and waste my youth away, feel sorry for a rich, famous, good-looking 19-year-old with an entire lifetime of fun ahead of him? They point to what Turkey Tom said in his video essay on Clav, which was fantastic, by the way, and I'll link it in the description. that apparently Clav is at least $50K in debt. But how is that supposed to make me feel any different about it? First of all, he made his own financial decisions that he has to live with. And second, he makes tens of thousands of dollars a month. All he has to do is cut back on spending by just 10% for 2 or 3 months, and he can pay it all off like it never existed. Yet most of us in the world of wages and normies have to spend 30 years paying off a student loan for a worthless college degree, all while teenage influencers live lives of excess set for life, never having to worry again. However, there is one aspect of life where I do pity him: the steroids. Clavicular has openly admitted to chronic steroid use starting at the age of 14. Just as he influences the young minds of the next generation, he too was influenced by those who came before him on looksmax.org. Yes, it was his decision to start using steroids without his parents' knowledge, but his mind was still developing. We can't have expected 14-year-old Clavicular to fully understand the long-term, life-altering consequences of prolonged anabolic androgen steroid use during puberty. Such consequences include hair loss, acne, gynecomastia, kidney stress, liver toxicity, psychiatric problems, dependence, cardiovascular disease, reproductive and endocrine injury, such as testicular atrophy, infertility, erectile dysfunction, and low libido, which can persist long after stopping, hypertension, blood clots, and most tragically of all, permanently stunted growth that results from the early exposure to testosterone, which causes the premature fusing of growth plates. That last side effect is pretty similar to the reason why I stopped growing at 12, which I discussed in one of my previous videos, Why I Wish I Was Shorter. Just imagine, Clavicular is already 6 feet tall. Imagine how tall he could have been if he just held off the steroid use until adulthood. He wouldn't have even had to consider height surgery. Unless, of course, he was already done growing at age 14. If any of you guys know whether Clav was already adult height by the time he started the steroids, let me know in the comments. It's still possible that at such a young age, he may have had knowledge of such side effects on an intellectual level, but his developing brain lacked the impulse control and long-term executive function to fully understand the gravity of such a decision. And for that, and the permanent consequences his decision will leave him with, he does have my pity. I just wish he would decide against promoting such a lifestyle towards the innocent minds of impressionable, desperate young men. So why is TikTok elevating the reach of someone with such a potentially dangerous influence while suppressing those who criticize him? That's a question we should all be asking. There are few things more despicable than encouraging other young people to make the same mistake you did. The only excuse I can think of is that he still lacks a complete understanding of the dangers. And if he does understand them, we have to consider the possibility that he actually wants others to make the same mistakes he did, so he can bring his male competition down a peg. Don't fall for the trap. The Endocrine Society warned the public that there is no credible evidence that such steroids can safely optimize growth or development. This is just another false hope sold to impressionable youths. Not only is he steroid maxing, but he has allegedly admitted to using hardcore stimulant powders to stay thinned and drinking like a sailor to help him with social skills. To be quite honest, the guy reminds me of my mom. Through college in her mid-20s, she was a wild party girl, living the high life with drugs and wealthy Russian gangsters in late 80s New York City. But that life catches up to you. By her late 20s, she had developed schizophrenia and was a tired, worn-out wreck. The city chewed her up and spat her back out. And to this day, she's never recovered. Just imagine what Clav's life might look like in 10 years, when he's my age. Even if he gets surgeries to ward off the accelerated aging process, the mental and physical health issues can't just be covered up so easily. And that brings me to the interesting part. Yeah, this is where things start to get a little unsettling. About a week before Christmas, I posted my TikTok calling Clavicular out for his blatant heightism. If you swapped out under 6 feet for any other trait people can't control, like race, his career would be over. But apparently, heightism is fair game, and guys like Clav are proud to broadcast it. Thing is, he's only like 6 foot, maybe 6'2", which to most women is still seen as mid. Bro is terrified of being seen as average. Meanwhile, he's using the platform he built off luck and good looks to mock short men, even though half his audience is short. I hope he gets reincarnated as a guy my height so he can learn a lesson. Imagine thinking height gives you moral authority. I gave him a gentle ribbing, at worst. Nothing crazy, nothing worthy of retaliation. He even left a comment on the video and seemed to take it pretty well. At least he did. The video came out to a strong start, but then something strange happened. Something that's never happened before. After I announced the new video in my TikTok story, I was bombarded with messages from my closest friends and followers from around the world, all telling me that they couldn't see the new video on my page. It was invisible. So I started to ask questions and discovered that there was a pattern. The video was only visible to people within the United States. Not even Canadians could see it. I was robbed of my hard work. I have spent thousands of hours building this account, and this was the first time ever that I've had a TikTok video be hidden to international audiences, and I couldn't find an explanation. Could this be permanent? That's where my investigation began, and what I found would be shocking and disturbing. I checked my video insights, and that's where I found the first clue. 94% of my viewers came from the United States. The video wasn't marked ineligible for the For You page, and it didn't have any violations or copyright issues. 94% US viewers is much higher than my usual 30 to 60% US viewers, but it's still not 100%. So clearly, some international viewers could see it. But how could that be? Well, I would find out when I went to post my next video. One that was completely inoffensive and safe. What's the deal with people referring to us short guys as short kings? I mean, what is this? Opposite day or something? When I posted my short king video 2 days after my Clav video, I was hoping everything would just go back to normal. But it didn't. And my audience was on high alert this time. All the same patterns emerged, but this time I was made aware that the video was visible to multiple international viewers for the first 5 minutes before disappearing. And apparently the same thing had happened with the Clav video as well. Yet another big clue. That would explain the few international viewers that the videos do have. Somehow, TikTok allowed it to stay up for a short time. That, and both videos somehow still remain visible in Sweden and possibly a few other select countries. The new question is, why is this happening to my new innocent video? Could this really be permanent? My mind raced with possibilities. With the help of my friends, we did some digging. We were able to confirm that this wasn't an age restriction. People of all ages were seeing it in the nations it was available, but no one of any age could see it in the nations that it wasn't. And the Brave browser VPN confirmed what everyone was saying. My new posts, and even some stories, are blocked outside the USA. The question is, why? My first theory was that I had been mass reported by Clavicular's fan base. Based on how many troll comments I received, I thought maybe he had directed them at me to retaliate against me. But trusted followers of mine told me that he's known for having a good attitude about stuff like this. So if I did get mass reported by his army of white knights, it would have been at their own accord. The thing is, I've been mass reported before. Usually, I'll just have a video marked as sensitive content, or ineligible for the For You page, or even taken down. And most of the time, after an appeal, everything's reversed. I have never had a mass report lead to silent suppression of all future content. Sorry, the power just went out again. So I thought, maybe TikTok just needs time to get through the reports and release my account from this temporary hold. So I decided to take a 2-week break to see if things go back to normal. And here we are, 10 days later, nothing's improved. In the meantime, I would open up support tickets with TikTok, try to find out what was going on, and make them aware of the situation. Was I really being targeted? If so, they needed to know. But even with the screenshots, optimized explanations, evidence, and my insistence that they escalate things, TikTok support continued to deny that everything was wrong. They refused to acknowledge the issue and gaslit me by trying to tell me that these were normal view fluctuations. They even closed my in-app support ticket. But another possibility crossed my mind. This could be a glitch. My cybersecurity expert friend told me that if it was a glitch, TikTok would be highly unlikely to admit it. And after scouring Reddit for any posts about this same issue, I was met with a grand total of one person bringing it up a month ago with 0 replies. So apparently, I am one of the few people on Earth facing this problem. If it was a glitch, I feel like it would be more widespread. When taking everything into consideration, along with TikTok's denial, my suspicions grew. I thought to myself, there's something bigger happening here. And that's where my friend Foid Obliterator came in clutch with the biggest revelation so far. By the way, he makes heightpill content on TikTok. You guys should go follow him. Anyway, Foid Obliterator had launched his own investigation into this. And apparently, I wasn't the only one to face mysterious algorithmic suppression after criticizing Clavicular on TikTok. I was made aware of a specific beef between a creator with 800K followers known as Ethan Muth, who got millions of views making a video exposing Clav for some pretty serious allegations.
I just saw the impact he was having on kids, and I had hundreds of kids reach out to me that were like, thank you for standing up to Clavicular. I saw no one was doing it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's fair, but you need to figure it out with Cookie. I'm done.
Now, I'm not endorsing or verifying anything he or anyone else said about Clav. For all I know, the whole thing could be a hoax. But the point isn't Clav's accusations per se, but it's what happened to Ethan after his video went viral. For some reason, the original video is nowhere to be found, but I did find this re-upload here.
Alright guys, so I've been debating whether or not to post this for the last couple of days. The evidence was shared with me by 4 completely unrelated sources who have all chosen to stay anonymous. Here's the proof of the first one, the second one, the third one, and the fourth one. These chats that I'm about to share with you come from a private PSL Looks Maxing Discord. And these messages were from yesterday, so they're from any time past January 2025. Bobble sends a message that says, "Hot JB at my school and her boyfriend." And it's a photo of this girl who's less than 18, so I blurred her out. Clavicular then responds with, "I would, her, so hard." What the actual fuck? Clavicular's between 18 and 19 at this time, and this girl was a minor. This is a chat from another conversation between Clavicular and Bobble. Bobble says, "This girl from school is 14 JFL. Clavicular responds with, "Already a at 14.
And by the way, if there's anything supporting the idea that Clavicular is some kind of secret agent, it's this last part. So listen closely.
I also want to share with you guys something else that was pointed out to me. This comes from Clavicular's restraining order, which is publicly available. At the bottom of the restraining order, it says, "Narrative modified by Joseph Pagliaro." Joseph used to be the head bouncer at a bar that Clavicular worked at called the Chatham Squire. Joseph left the bar at one point, started working as a police officer for the Chatham Police Department. Joseph and Clavicular both follow each other on Instagram. And again, just remember, Clavicular's restraining order was modified by Joseph Pagliaro, a close friend and ex-co-worker of Clavicular, who now works for the police department. But just know, there is way more stuff, and this runs a lot deeper than the stuff I just showed you guys.
Did I hear that right, guys? Because if I understand correctly, it sounds like this guy's saying that Clavicular's got some kind of friend in the police who works for the government and helps him sweep stuff under the rug and pull a bunch of strings behind the scenes. If there's anything in that whole expose that I find suspicious, it's that. Pretty wild stuff, huh? Not only is the original video gone, but his entire original account is now privated. For some reason, he decided to start this new account, where he still gets decent views, but there's a suspicious absence of content between July and December. And while searching, I discovered a video of Ethan being pressured into apologizing to Clav and his girlfriend sometime in the middle of July.
You're young, and he's you're younger than me. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know you at all. But you also didn't know me at all, and you chose to come to me out of this whole situation because I felt like you thought you're capitalizing on what your friends wanted to hear, and I didn't appreciate that because I wasn't a part of it at all. But I appreciate you saying sorry.
yeah, no. The thing is, you can talk to me 10 times worse than her, but she's not a part of like the whole looks maxing thing. She's not desensitized. I appreciate the apology. No, it doesn't sound like I mean it. No. I think Ethan does mean it.
I think I can tell this is just a high anxiety moment,
Yeah,
and I wanted to move forward, but you took away a lot of dignity that I had, and that was not okay.
But that's not all. The accounts of other looks maxers like Drago and Cookie seem to also show some strange anomalies after even just associating with Clavicular. It seems that they all met in person sometime in July so that they could all create content together. And after that, some strange things started happening. Drago had a drop in views after showing Clav in his videos, but it seemed to only be temporary and nothing close to what I've experienced with my videos going down by 90% due to region restriction. And Cookie seems to have gotten off scot-free. However, it's not all so simple. For some reason, Cookie has the same gap in posting activity that Ethan Muth does. You guessed it, from July to December. And if you'll remember, Cookie was present with Ethan in the Clavicular apology video.
You're young, and he's you're younger than me. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know you at all, but you also didn't know me at all.
it sound like I mean it. No. I think Ethan does mean it.
Make of this information what you will, but I smell something off. And if you have any speculation on what that might be, I'd like to hear it in the comments. Just before I share my own theory, I'd like to point out the glaring hypocrisy of this situation. One simple explanation for why me and these other creators face the same problem when Clav appears in one of our videos is that Clav is an extremely controversial figure, given all the allegations and history, and that TikTok is trying to contain and suppress him as a topic. Okay. So why, then, is his 600,000 follower account allowed to literally flourish, raking in 2 to 5 million views per post with this kind of slop?
Give a fuck if you like it.
Clavicular gets to run wild and unchecked, yet me and others get punished for even just talking about him or showing him? How in the name of Pete does that make sense?
Oh, for the love of Pete!
One thing is clear, and that's that hashtag Clavicular is unsafe to use on TikTok. Either TikTok has it flagged, or his army of white knights is out of control and mass reporting everyone who uses it that isn't Clav. I'm not sure which possibility is more disturbing. Actually, yes, I do, and it's definitely the second. But there's one more, far stranger theory that Void Obliterator and I formulated. And I'm not saying this is true, just a possible and hopefully fictional hypothetical scenario that could potentially explain this bizarre pattern among creators who discuss Clavicular. What if Clavicular could be playing a character designed to influence and shape the community into something dangerous, designed to eventually attract negative press and attention, and turn public opinion further against the shadowy pill community? An agent like that would have the ability to pull strings at any social media company and request secret, special actions to silence specific critics. And if so, that kind of power can go to someone's head and can potentially be abused. It would explain why he still has a flourishing TikTok account while people like me get mysteriously region locked with no explanation. Think about it. The open drug use, promoting dangerous looks maxing techniques to an audience largely composed of minors, the bad press disasters like what happened last week.
Clavicular attempted to murder a man. Here's him showing homicidal intent before the incident.
I want to kill each and every one of these guys.
In GTA.
No, I want to.
Here's the incident itself.
Start driving with this guy on the car. Drive.
And here's him showing homicidal intent after the incident.
Is he dead?
I don't know.
Hopefully.
How else would someone get away with all that debauchery for this long other than being some kind of useful puppet for the elite? It's possible that the elites want to promote an illusion of hope to the masses, to keep them from laying down and rotting once they find out how hopeless life really is. So instead, the elites silence the critics of that agenda, since we threaten the cultural permeation of their false ideas. But hey, that's just a kind of creative story I made up out of this whole thing. Probably not true, just letting my paranoid imagination run wild. But what do you think? I just want to impart on everyone that for those of us who are short or genetically sub-5, don't let your desperation be exploited by someone trying to sell you a fake solution to your problem. That kind of Chad worship only further enriches those privileged few who already have everything, and at your expense. If you have any thoughts or feelings about this situation, I'd love to hear about them in the comments. Don't forget to like if you liked it, to help more people see it, and share with anyone you think might enjoy it. If you like this video about Clavicular, you would also like this video about this fake doomer girl YouTuber who came out as a misandrist to her primarily lonely male audience. Subscribe for more relatable content exposing dark truths with brutal stories and based perspectives.